people who I know who are really great detectors, the people who I look up to, they've even turned and said, I never have found a branding iron. I didn't realize what I found. And somebody locally said the smart thing. We can find so many rings, another gold ring, yay. But when you find something that has a lot of history, that's big, right? Especially here. So, it's great going to the beach. Yeah, it's awesome finding the gold, right? But when we can put a piece of history together where kids could touch it, people could touch it, people around us can learn, I think it's really important. I noticed there's so much history that is getting bulldozed and forgotten about, that us detectorists finding it, and documenting it is a big deal. I'm honestly thinking of possibly making some sort of book of the various finds I found and even where I found them. But I will probably release the book the day I have to hang up my detectors because I can't do it anymore, right? Yeah. Because I would like to go, I found it exactly here, and but I don't want to do that while I'm still detecting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. Does make sense. So do you have a specific find, a white whale? I know most people have standard, gold coin, something like that. But is there something that you would really love to find?
I have never found a thimble. If I could find a silver thimble, I think I'd probably faint. I know most of you found thimbles, but I have yet to find a thimble. And that is just one of these things that the day I do, you will probably hear me scream, and smile and jump up and down.
That's very cool. I know Amanda found a thimble yesterday, and I meant to ask her if it was silver. I found many thimbles, but I have never found a silver thimble, so that's still on my bucket list.
Yeah, I think they're beautiful, and again, a lot of history to them. So I'm waiting for my thimble.
Awesome. Well, good luck. Hopefully, you'll find one this year. This year's the year. So.
Any other questions?
I am checking to see if there are any in chat right now. And if not, how about, I know that we, Gypsy and I find creepy or crazy things. Have you ever found something that was creepy or been in a situation that you kind of got like the goosebumps or the hair on the back of your neck stand up?
Trying to think. I luckily have friends who are, scientists on bones, and they get a lot of texts from me saying, what kind of bone is this? Just to know if I have to call the police or not. But I haven't found anything creepier. No, I've had creepy people. We have a lot of homeless people in California. So I have some people who come up to me who can be kind of dangerous, and I have to be on edge. A lot of very nice, very kind, warm, but here or there I'll have one where I have to, take my shovel and just hold it a little tighter just in case I have to defend myself.
Yep.
So that's kind of, just, what us detectors have to do, I guess, in certain areas. But I'm trying to think. Not offhand, I probably have found, we find a lot of spell jars and stuff. So when I find a spell jar, I just leave it where it is, and warn if I'm with another detector. Yeah, well, sometimes they're cute ones where it's maybe, a teenager who had a crush on somebody and, wrote it and put it in there with, with little items. But we just, we have a pact, I guess. I'm presuming this is all detectors. They find a spell jar, just, put it back in the ground where you found it. And if you accidentally, sometimes a beginner will take it home and then be like, well, what's this? And we'll explain it and then say, just take it somewhere and dig it back up.
Yep.
Yeah.
We did have a
Wow.
question in chat from Matt. He wanted to know if you've ever got to hunt any of the Spanish missions, like Sanchez Adobe.
We can go close, but most of that's historic ground. We could get in a lot of trouble, so it just depends. So we can get to closer areas that maybe people would go, but I wouldn't be right at a Spanish mission because most of them are off limits for us to detect.
Have you ever,
and go ahead.
I was going to say, have you ever worked with any of the historic societies to possibly gain permission and work with them on that?
I'm starting in that direction, and some
Nice.
of the historians, they've gotten to know me to say, hey, can you help us out too?
Yep.
Find XYZ. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because especially with your Brandon iron that you found, with those doors that it opens, and then a lot of times when you can bring stuff to like a historical society meeting and show them that you're working with and learning more about the history in that area, and it can open up a lot of doors, because I've in the past been able to work with several not historical societies. I have worked with some historical societies, but more of, actually with archaeologists, and that's a whole different ball game. But it's really fun because it can get you on some of those properties working with them, and they see how we can be such an asset to archaeology today, with the technology and our knowledge that we can bring to the table, and how that we can work together.
I agree. Working together, I think there's so much more. I've noticed, there's some historians now doing metal detecting, but they're still in the beginner side, where if they paired up with some of us who've been detecting for years, what they think they can find will be big pieces of iron because they're just new to it. But if they, if they paired up with us because we understand our detectors, we're kind of geeks on our detectors, we can find the small little items. I just recently found a tiny, tiny piece of metal, but it was stamped with Santa Fe train. That was a train station, that went through. And, that would have been overlooked by most. And it was, I brought it home. I didn't even know it was stamped, and I was cleaning and I went, whoa, what's this? And then an amateur historian said, this is what it is. And that was a really cool find, because it was a stamp of the railway that ran here.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That is cool. Yeah. And there's so many things sometimes we find and we throw in our pouch, but we go clean it later too. So, it's always good, especially for those newbies starting out. Be sure and save that trash. Don't throw it away yet. Get a chance.
I did that with a big gold nugget. I never threw it away, but a historian, I think I mentioned before, asked me to go up to a special mountain where there was a famous shootout and find a bullet. Well, while I was up there, I dug something, and it was like this heavy item, and I thought, this is weirdly heavy. It was caked in clay, and I didn't think much of it. Threw it in my pouch because I don't want to leave trash out if I dig it up. I get home and I'm going through my pouch. Don't even think this is anything special. And I don't even know why. I started washing it off and gold started coming out, and my jaw dropped. And then I didn't even want to believe it was gold. And I, went through a lot to verify. But yeah, it was a big nugget. It was a nugget that was around someone's neck, probably during the cowboy era, to probably use to barter themselves out of trouble if something ever happened. But I still have it. It's gorgeous.
That's awesome.
Wow. See, what an epic story right there. Don't throw away your
trash. But I thought it was garbage. It was, don't throw away. Wash everything.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I found something today when we were metal detecting a yard that I showed it to Jackie. I was like, this almost because this looks a little shinier than, I think this could be a piece of silver. So I haven't had a chance. I just threw it in my pouch. But it was hitting kind of high on the detector, and I was like, very small piece, so I haven't had a chance to look at it. But you just don't throw it away. Not till you know. Test it. Check it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's see. How are we doing on time, Amanda?
We got 5 minutes before we have to close out. Let's see. I kind of want to ask one of our questions prior that I know we've asked. It's kind of a goofy question, but now, it's been a couple years. So, if you could treasure hunt anywhere where there were no rules, where would you detect or treasure hunt? Because there's other types of treasure that you might be able to find, and why?
I might have to say a few different areas. I would probably say Barkerville in British Columbia. I am Canadian. I grew up in British Columbia. I'm Czech Canadian, and I spent a lot of time as a kid at Barkerville. So it'd be cool to find some history and just have it from there. And then probably Bodie. So there's another ghost town in California everyone always brings up, but we can't detect it ever. It's off limits, called Bodie. So I probably would like to detect there if there were no rules.
Fantastic. Yeah, the rules, right? Seeing more and more areas, having the signs put up. That's no metal detecting. No, I think I saw a post this week that, and I think it's the Army Corps of Engineers, you're allowed to detect, but there's no digging allowed. And that's in a lot of the rules.
I don't understand that one.
No, I don't either. But back in the day, I know that a lot of detectorists used a screwdriver, and they could somehow pop their finds out of the ground, and that would not be digging. So I think I need to find someone who knows how to do that.
Also, I met up with a guy. This is kind of when I first started metal detecting. He had made it looked like a little metal hook. And what he did, it was, the bottom part was thinner than a screwdriver, and then it had these little jagged, almost like little hooks on the side. And what he would do is he would go hunt these big fields where he would get permission to go hunt, and they would say no digging. But he could bring this little tool, and he would jab it in there. And he said if he learned, he got so good at pinpointing and knowing just how to stick it in there that he could pull it in there, and then as he was pulling it out, it would catch a ring and just on the edge, and just pop that ring right out. And he would find so many rings on those fields.
We do have a question for you in chat. Is do you prefer the coins or the relics? That's from Jersey Ray.
I would love to do the coins, but I'm not as good as the coins and the relics. I mean, I go for both, and I'd be happy with either that comes home with me. I tend to, when I'm out with friends, end up the one with relics in the pouch, because just that's what I can sense and sniff out, I guess. But I also am excited with an old coin, and I'm even excited with modern change. I'm excited just to detect. I mean, I love the hobby, love the people in the hobby, love uncovering this stuff. I mean, it's a passion.
Well, wonderful.
Right. I get excited anytime I dig up anything, but yeah, it's something when there's something about with the history, it always makes a difference. Like your Brandon iron. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on tonight. We've run out of time now, but if you could go ahead and you said people can find you on Facebook they can find you on Instagram as well.
Right, and I even in the chat put my personal business email address that they can email